Well, good morning, everyone, here on the East Coast of the United States. And of course, a very early morning for those of our friends on the West Coast. And good afternoon to our friends who are joining us from across the sea over in Europe. My name is Scott Farley, and I'm one of the sales directors here at 360 Suite. I am joined by Pauline Lancaster, one of our senior pre-sales engineers.
Hi, I'm Pauline. Welcome, everyone. I made sure that I had my windows and doors shut for this because we have the deafening hum of cicadas here, and you wouldn't be able to hear me if I had my window open. Thanks for joining.
Yes, we don't have cicadas down here right now in Atlanta. It's a little too hot for that, but that's okay. I have also closed my blinds, and hopefully the construction across the street won't be inking in here, so we should be okay. So with that, as always, before we begin, please submit your questions anytime. We'll do our best to answer those during the webinar. We will be sending you the recording, and I will remind you again that we will be resending the recording after this presentation is over. So with that, today, one of the things that we've been noticing over the last couple of years is that here, of course, at GB and Smith and 360 Suite, analytics, BI is our biggest thing, and analytics is the number one investment when it comes to IT spending, with over $25 billion being spent, and that most companies average over 5 data analytic platforms per company. With that being said, though, with all that spend and all that focus, analytics is not being trusted, with over 4 out of 5 CEOs saying that they don't trust the data upon which their decisions are being made. And the biggest thing that we're finding is that the data is ungoverned. At the very last bit, when it comes to your dashboards, we come from these great data platforms that have fantastic security, that have automation, and things are being scheduled and reports are coming out. But users are utilizing data dumping and manipulating the data, and that's where the trust issues arise. But here, what we'd like to present to you today is one of our new Align extensions here for 360 Suite, and that is Kinesis CI, where we provide you automated testing for your Tableau server. 3 types of testing, that is regression testing, both for single and cross environments, performance testing, the ability to simulate additional user load and activity, and finally, what we're going to focus on today, functional testing, the ability to simulate the journey of a user, and the ability to verify your data, your images, your SQL, your equals, parameter equals, all for your Tableau server, as well as being able to provide publishing of your dashboards, and do that in automation. So with that, some of the things that we'll be doing today, before we jump into all the different pieces of the functional testing aspects, what we like to do now is, first of all, provide you that user experience, give you the data integrity verification or certification, and then finally show you how we can publish those dashboards in a more of an automated way. With that, Pauline's now going to go through the different architecture of of Kinesis CI. And please, this is a great time. If you have any questions, just pop them into the chat box, and we'll go from there. Pauline?
Okay, thanks, Scott. So Kinesis has 2 components. The first component is the designer. Kinesis is a desktop application, so it's installed on a Windows or a Mac. And the designer is that first component, and this is where you create your test cases. So and then the second component is a command line interface, and this is installed on a server where you can automate your tests. Tests can be automated with a CI server, such as Jenkins. So if you leverage a Jenkins server, If you don't leverage a CI server, you can also automate your tests using cron jobs if you have Linux servers, or if you're on Windows servers, you can use a Windows task scheduler. So a number of different options to automate your tests once they've been created. Okay, and now we're just going to jump into a demo just to show you Kinesis. Okay, so this is an example of a functional test. This first test is going to test the user experience. So it's validating when the user interacts with the dashboard that it's working as expected. And this is the output from a test. So here's, you see partial success. This test, it didn't pass or fail, but you see partial success. These are all the tasks that were in this particular test. So I'm logging into Tableau. I'm opening a visualization that I selected in Kinesis in the test when I built that, validating that a worksheet exists. I'm validating that I can select certain marks that I defined, comparing an image. So I want to make sure it's getting, the image looks like it's expected. And then switching tabs. Can I switch between certain tabs? Ensuring that something wasn't inadvertently removed from the dashboard when change was made. So each of these tasks will have a status, and those green check marks mean they've passed. If you saw a red X, that would be one of the tasks failed. And in this case, you see a yellow triangle that indicates partial success. So I had set this test up to allow the test to continue on failure. So this particular task actually failed, but it was able to continue because I configured that, but I could also have had it stop on error, and then it would just not have continued. So I'll show you what the results, after you set up your tests. Each step, you'll get a screenshot. So here's the login. It shows the screenshot of after the login. Open the visualization. Here I get a screenshot of the visualization that was selected. The worksheet, this is validating the worksheet existed. And selecting the mark, so that orange dot you see, that's where the mark was selected. And then it's validating, comparing the image. So the expected image is on the left. The difference, the one on the right is what actually was returned. And all those red squares are where the differences were. So something didn't pass with that particular task. And then the last one was switching tabs. So I was able to switch this tab that I had selected. This was the housing tab, and it successfully switched. So that's example of a user experience. There are a number of different tasks that you can include to validate as the users navigate in their dashboards that they're getting expected results. Okay. And moving on to the next test, this is validating data. And this is a big one. A lot of customers want to make sure that, okay, I ran ETL. Did it complete successfully? Am I getting expected results? Did it partially populate? And I can validate, okay, if this table doesn't have any data, then I know that ETL did not complete. You're expecting that a date that's being returned is the previous day's date. So you can include formulas to validate your data. So you've got lots of options. In this test, I had a login, opened the visualization, that passed. Setting a filter, so I'm validating the filter as well as can I select those values that I'm expecting. So that's validating the filters. You can also validate parameters as well. And then asserting data rules. So there are user-defined data rules that I've established. I'm checking certain columns have values that I'm expecting. I can check dates, I can check formulas. So you can do a number of different things to validate the data. So going through, I see the login, snapshot, again, the visualization opening, and then selecting the filter. So these three values were what I had set for this filter, and those were set properly. So that means the filter exists, and those values are also available. So that's another data check. And then asserting the data rules. So in this particular test, I had a number of columns that I was checking to validate, and it failed on looking at year order date. It was supposed to equal 2018, but in this case, obviously they're all older dates, so this did not pass. So just an example of how you can validate your data.
So just to see how everybody's doing out there. just wanted to ask a quick question. If you can, you'll see on the right-hand side, there's a private chat, there's a chat box. If you could put your answers to this, but when would you normally like to test your Tableau dashboards? After a Tableau upgrade, after a data source update, after a dashboard change, maybe when you're using the dashboard and embedded analytics, or before key business users run their dashboards. All right, we'll see if anybody gives a quick answer.
Okay.
And we can go forward to the next piece of doing utilizing the next piece.
Okay. Okay. So the next test case I wanted to share was validating SQL. This is something a lot of our customers like to do. And this is a test that will allow you to ensure the results of a SQL query run directly against a database are the same as the results that are returned to the Tableau dashboard. So in this test, I again log into Tableau, open visualization, and then I'm checking I provided the SQL that I wanted to compare. And scrolling down to the results, we'll see what that looks like. So in this case, the results on the left, that's the SQL that was returned. That's the data that was returned to the SQL that was run against the database. So number of rows there, and on the right, that's the data returned to the dashboard. So obviously, there's a difference there. It looks like perhaps there was a filter maybe applied on the dashboard that shouldn't have been. So that immediately validates you know that there's something not correct with what's being returned. Okay.
So we see a few people, see some responses after upgrades, dashboard change, and server upgrade. Jeff agrees that we should like to do it for all these pieces. So definitely like to go deeper with that. But one of the other questions I wanted to know is, how do you currently test your Tableau dashboards? Are you leveraging API? Are you asking your business users? Are you just asking IT to help you out? Or you're asking quality assurance to do it? Do you ask your report developers to test your dashboards? Or are you just not testing at all? I know there's like 5, 6 answers there, so I'll do those over again. So how do you currently test your dashboards? Are you leveraging API? Are you asking your business users? Are you asking your IT department to do it? Are you asking your quality assurance department to do it? Are you requiring your report developers to do it on their own? Or are we just not testing whatsoever?
Okay, so should we move on? Wait for some responses there?
We'll let the responses filter in, and we'll go to the next piece.
Okay. Okay, so the next test that I wanted to, we do have a test that allows you to publish to Tableau. So this is a lot of our customers want to have this integrated, doing continuous integration, continuous deployment. So they'll use versioning of their Kinesis test cases using GitHub or Bitbucket. Any solutions will work. And this will allow you to track changes and history made to test plans over time. And then you can integrate that with a solution like Jenkins to automate the Kinesis builds and tests. You can implement pipelines. So here's an example of a pipeline in Jenkins that is integrating. So this is integrating with Git. So this is something was checked out in Git and ran through this Kinesis dev test. It passed. So then it was published to production. And then the test was run in production to validate everything published correctly. So you're able to integrate all of your testing to automate it and have that continuous integration and automating of the test. So you make a change, you've make a change to a dashboard, you've added a filter. Okay, I'm going to change the test, and now I want to validate. Didn't break something else. Everything's still working. Maybe you make a change to Tableau, do an upgrade, run through your tests as well. Make a change to the backend database, whatever the case may be. And this is actually Kinesis here, where you create those test cases. So in this one, I'm just logging to Tableau, and then I've got a task to publish to Tableau. And here I can select the Tableau file that I want to publish, and you can also select the context. I just have one listed here, but you could have multiple contexts set up. It's just connections to your Tableau server, and you can then move the content between your environments. You could also change the data sources as well. This one didn't have a database connection, but that can also be tested. So this just allows you, to automate your test cases.
Okay. We definitely have some involvement here. We have Joanna Paix was saying that their release engineers follow test cases. Jeff Nielsen was saying QA and business users as well are doing most of their testing. If you had a Kinesis type solution, how would you be leveraging automated testing? Would you do it daily, weekly, bi-monthly, monthly, or quarterly? But so if you have a chance, please provide an answer to that. But more importantly, I'd like to open this up. We've covered a lot, and to see if you had any questions, any specific questions of what Pauline's gone over so far.
Okay, well, I could also jump into Kinesis just to kind of show how some of these tests were set up. So this validate data is probably interesting, where I set up the data rules. So I showed you the results, but this is how you set up. You select the workbook, the dashboard you want to include. You have defined column rules that you want to apply. So you've got the ability to set, it should be equal to this, it should be greater than that, whatever the case may be. If sum of sales is below 10,000, we know there's obviously something wrong, and that could trigger, the failed test. And then you have the ability to create formulas, so you can really do some specific data testing as well. Okay, and then the SQL, just to show this as well, this is the validating the SQL. So I provided the SQL statement here. So this ran directly against the database, and I defined the database here. And when that runs, it then compares the data that's returned to Tableau. Okay, so someone asked where okay, you're testing when there's a change to a workbook or data source. Okay. Yeah, so any of these tests can be run. If there are any changes, have it automated to run so that you're validating that, maybe there's a change that is expected, but, maybe you also expect certain things to still be working as before.
Okay. I see that Jeff Nielsen was saying that the goal is to use Kinesis with each release, which could be daily or weekly. That would be great. Yep. Thank you, Christoph. Perfect.
Yep, then you could certainly, yep. Yeah, so either one, daily or weekly, you could automate that with Jenkins if you've got that, or Windows Task Scheduler, so that you're automating that, running it, at a specific time, so you don't have to manually do that.
Okay. Yeah, and we can definitely do it ad hoc, as Joanna says. So it doesn't have to be, you don't have to do it in automation. You don't have to, well, as Paulina described, we definitely do utilize schedulers if that was something of interest as well. But you could do it on an ad hoc basis also. Okay. Do we have any other questions? Okay. All right. So again, one of the biggest take homes that we would like to provide is providing the trust back into your dashboards. With Kinesis CI, again, today we're focusing on functional testing, but we give you the opportunity to really to do both regression and performance testing as well. And in doing so, really give you back that, when we say trust, the ability for you so your end users can utilize it will increase their, the more they trust the dashboards, the more that they will adopt your dashboards within your organization, etc. And as always, this is one of our times, is if you're at all interested in Kinesis CI, we would offer you, please, take a minute, drop a comment into the chat box, but we'd love to give you the opportunity to trial it for 14 days. It's a quick and easy install. If there's, we can go over, Pauline's gone over most of the requirements already today, but we can easily schedule a few minutes of, and provide that to you and give you the opportunity to really try this out for yourselves and get an idea to see what Kinesis CI can do, but more importantly, start feeling what that trust could be like. So.